In the top 20 channels on YouTube, only 2 of them are YouTubers, being Mr. Beast and Pewdiepie. Pewdiepie was once number 1 on YouTube and still stands as the number 1 independent channel. But sadly, he has dropped an overall 3 rungs from the top of the YouTube ladder. How did this happen? How did 3 corporations shoot to the top of the leaderboards so fast? Well, where do I begin? Let's start at the beginning of this timeline, with the start of YouTube as a whole. YouTube was made in the year 2005 by Steve Chen, Chad Hurley, and Jawed Karim, all former employees of PayPal. YouTube in its infancy was a place for creators to go and express their artistic vision, a theater of the mind, if you will. YouTube was always about diversity of content, even from the start. Music videos, comedy skits, and people ranting about everyday life. You name it and you'll find it. Though the popular gaming commentary genre had yet to start, until 3 years later, with the YouTuber known as Blame Truth, aka the Codfather. Which is a little ironic considering he didn't start his channel with Call of Duty content at all, and started his channel with this very stimulating video. This goes on for another 45 seconds. I'm not kidding. Though his first actual gaming commentary video was a video on Halo 3 where he just recorded his friend raging at the game. Well, he didn't know he was being recorded. This video was the genesis of gaming content on YouTube as a whole. This would continue until the gaming genre became so big that it inspired a then 20-year-old Felix Kjelberg, or Pewdiepie, to make his first video on a game that I feel everybody is pretty familiar with: Minecraft. Oh my god. This video would be the stepping stone of what created his channel, and later branched out into more games, like Call of Duty and Amnesia, the latter game being where he found the most success.
Okay, so who should we bring? I think we should call him Stefano. I am Stefano. You and me, buddy. New adventures awaits us.
Then, in the year of our Lord 2013, on the 22nd of December, Pewdiepie would become the most subscribed YouTuber of all time, with over 15 million subscribers, beating the top channel at the time, Smosh. This would be the last time that we had a new most subscribed YouTuber in a while, as Pewdiepie would hold on to this title for almost 7 years. Pewdiepie stayed at the top for a very long time, but he wasn't without his fall from grace. There were many times where over the years that Pewdiepie almost tripped and lost his favor with his YouTube audience. One example being the losing of a partnership with Disney over an anti-Semitic joke that was made in his Fiverr video, or the time in the heat of the moment where he said a racial slur on stream while playing the popular PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG for short. But through all of this, he managed to stay entertaining and switched up his content so that his channel could never fall into uniform with the others around him. These changes in content were so drastic that fans of PewDiePie marked eras of the channel. And I can't really disagree. PewDiePie definitely went through stages of his content. And without these stages, most definitely would have been left in the dust years ago. But after all of this, after PewDiePie struggled to get to the top of the mountain and stay there, he didn't know that an earthquake was going to come around and knock him off of his feet. YouTube, over the past years since the Google buyout, have made changes to the site in order to either A, seem more advertiser friendly, B, make more revenue, C, take out a certain genre of YouTube creators, or D, make more revenue. Sadly, this upcoming change wasn't going to just affect one group, but it was going to affect every individual creator on the site. YouTube, around a certain point, started making itself more open to companies to join. Before everyone knew it, there were talk shows, funny celebrity clips, and all the music videos you can ever want. The individual creator was slowly being pushed out of the way for these big companies that YouTube would support more than the original creators that gave YouTube its original start. All of this came to a head when an Indian music company was slowly taking over YouTube charts by any means necessary. T-Series started their channel to show Bollywood trailers and music videos. They had the means to pump out content multiple times per day, unlike PewDiePie, who could only make one per day at the most. This made T-Series skyrocket in popularity, and quickly became the fastest growing channel on YouTube at the time. As the sub count grew closer and closer to PewDiePie's, it was estimated that PewDiePie would be overtaken in a matter of weeks, and the corporations would take over YouTube for good. At last, the king would lose his crown and fall to the wayside. But there was still a glimmer of hope, for a rogue factor had entered the fight, and he wasn't going to let the corporations win this one. A YouTuber by the name of Mr. Beast joined the fight against T-Series, and used hundreds of thousands of dollars to advertise PewDiePie's channel and keep him as number one. This effort boosted the time that they had, but it wasn't enough. T-Series would take over PewDiePie in a week, if not for another brave soldier who put himself on the front line of battle to keep PewDiePie on top. T-Series was just under 100,000 away from taking over PewDiePie, until Markiplier made this video, containing an almost hour-long speech.
There comes a time in everybody's life when you have to realize what truly, honestly is important. And sometimes in the world you can see the darkness in this life, the darkness in this world. But today, no, that is not today. Not today, not here, not now, in no way, shape, or form are we going to let the darkness of this world overtake the one true source of light that we have left in this life. Yes, it's true. I'm talking about PewDiePie. And we must all do our part in this fight, whether we feel like we're a part of it or not. Because the truth is, this affects all of us. Every single one of us.
This riled up the soldiers. The morale had never been higher, and the one true calling was known. Everyone did their part. They followed in the footsteps of Markiplier. They advertised in the streets. People from around the world cried out in one voice. All of them said, "Subscribe to PewDiePie." This even brought more powerful voices in the community to the side of freedom, as YouTubers like H3H3, KSI, Logan Paul, Jacksepticeye, and even Dan TDM came together to stop the forces of T-Series and bring back peace to YouTube. This was when the army started finding holes in the T-Series empire, and possibly found a case of war crime being committed. In the Ten Commandments, it simply states that thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not go into Suicide Forest with a Mike Wazowski hat on, but most importantly of all, thou shalt not subbot. Around the midway point of this ongoing war, many videos would be posted live streaming the events of the war through two real-time sub boxes, with one showing Pewdiepie and the other showing T-Series. This brought the sub count of T-Series into full view of the public, and these streams were never empty. This was when a strange occurrence happened. T-Series gained over 9,000 subscribers in a single second. This had never been done before, and it's hard to believe that it was just chance. Now, I'm no expert, and I'm not Dream, so I can't easily talk to a chance mathematician to back up my claims, but something wasn't right. This lowered the morale even lower than it had ever been before. How were we to win if T-Series had an unlimited amount of subscribers to pull from in the form of bots? How were we to survive? Well, that would be answered by the rogue factor from before, Mr. Beast. There was an initiative from the people of the community to put together a Super Bowl ad that would call attention to the war at a mainstream audience. If this was to work, we would have won the war for sure. That's when Mr. Beast started planning the greatest advertisement ever made. But sort of. As much as Mr. Beast was rich, he wasn't made of money. And even if he was, he would still not be able to pay for a Super Bowl ad, with the prices going up into tens of millions, which Mr. Beast at the time did not have. So he devised a cheaper plan. The second plan involved bringing blankets into the Super Bowl, as they weren't allowed to bring signs saying subscribe to and a picture of PewDiePie's face, and made the over 400-mile road trip to Atlanta just to advertise PewDiePie. Sadly, this idea was scrapped when they got there, and the organizers of the Super Bowl told them they couldn't bring a blanket into the stadium, and they would have to throw away the blanket. Thankfully, they had the foresight to bring a backup plan in the form of shirts saying sub to PewDiePie, and brought them into the stadium. This was a success. Even though it wasn't an advertisement or even a banner, they made the most out of it and brought some people to the side of PewDiePie in this great war. And the PewDiePie YouTube channel had beaten T-Series to 100 million subscribers, making PewDiePie the first ever creator to hit this coveted milestone. It was later that PewDiePie's channel had been overtaken by T-Series, and PewDiePie sat at number 2 on the overall leaderboards. Even after all of this, the channel managed to come back to number 1 for 8 minutes. But at that point, the damage had already been done. This saddened the troops, but they didn't give up hope just yet, as others were doing their part to bring PewDiePie back into the throne of YouTube, with Jaden Animation sneaking a bunch of PewDiePie references into the 2019 YouTube Rewind. But it was all for naught, as something terrible was just around the corner. I know I've used the phrase tragedy, or the word tragedy, in a silly manner and not in ways that are deserving of the word. But there were 2 main events that marked the downfall of the war that would widely be considered a tragedy. The first being the graffiti of a World War II monument with subscribe to Pewdiepie. PewDiePie, once he heard about this, was enraged. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He immediately donated to the park, but the damage had already been done. The second thing was a completely unrelated shooting, known as the Christchurch shooting. In a New Zealand church, a man walked into a Muslim chapel with a rifle and killed 51 people. In an interview with the shooter, he spoke the signature phrase, "Subscribe to PewDiePie." This must have been mentally wrecking to PewDiePie, being connected to such a violent crime. The time had come to end the war. PewDiePie posted on April 28th of 2019, titled "Ending the Subscribe to PewDiePie meme," where he talks about the awful actions done in the pursuit of keeping him on top, and the wonderful acts of kindness and the amazing community that he had garnered. But yes, for all intents and purposes, this was the end of the war, with PewDiePie willingly stepping down and leaving his throne behind. The last thing that happened was a plane flying over New York City with a banner attached saying the signature phrase, "Subscribe to PewDiePie." A final send-off for the war. And, in a way, a white flag. After the war, there was a quiet takeover from the corporations. Suddenly, Jimmy Fallon took over YouTube, and other unfunny talk show hosts like him. The age of the creator was all but gone, and in came the age of simple to digest, easy to make, and mass-manufactured content. PewDiePie? Well, I'd say he's doing just fine. He started a Minecraft series the year after the war had ended, and that was some of his most viewed content, with the first episode alone gaining over 51 million views. His personal life has gotten better too. He started working out and eating healthy, and he got married. He's doing the content that he enjoys. Though PewDiePie seemed to have lost the war, Felix Kjellberg, Felix had never been better. Win or lose, this war was a blast. Everybody had a great time, and I don't believe that there will ever be an internet war like this again. Honestly, it's a triumph on what the internet can do if you work together. Whether it's keeping a YouTuber above a soulless corporation or helping others in times of need. So, I know he said that the war is over and all, but, subscribe to PewDiePie!